Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the screen in front of him. Hundreds of alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were huge and shiny, like bronze knives floating in the darkness of space. The Cretharian Imperium had come to Earth with their entire war fleet. Lisa Hayes walked up to Jake. Her face was pale, but her eyes were strong. She had been studying the alien ships for an hour. The news was bad. Very bad. "They are calling us again, Admiral," Lisa said. Her voice was steady, even though everyone on the bridge felt scared. "The Cretharian commander wants an answer to their demands." Jake turned away from the screen. His jaw was tight. 3 days ago, the aliens had sent their message to Earth. They wanted humans to give up everything. Earth had to destroy all weapons and accept alien rule. If humans said no, the aliens promised to kill everyone on the planet. The Cretharians had conquered 47 other star systems in the last 10 years. They had destroyed civilizations that were thousands of years old. They believed they were the strongest species in the galaxy. "What they do not know," Jake said quietly to his crew, "is that humans did not reach the top on Earth by giving up." Danny Carter was the young man who handled communications on the ship. He looked up from his station. "Admiral, should I open a channel to talk to them?" Jake nodded. "Open it. Let us give them our answer." The big screen changed and showed Commander Vexithor of the Cretharian Imperium. The alien was frightening to look at. He was 8 feet tall with 4 arms and hard armor that grew from his skin. His 6 eyes stared at Jake with hate. "Human Admiral," Vexithor said through the translator. His voice sounded harsh and clicking. "Your time is finished. Give us your surrender now, or we will destroy you. The Imperium has been very patient with your weak species." Jake stepped forward. His hands were behind his back. "Commander Vexithor, I have an answer for you and your Imperium. Humanity says no to your offer of slavery." The alien's armor plates moved in what looked like laughter. "You dare say no? Your fleet is much smaller than ours. Your technology is hundreds of years behind ours. This is your last chance, human." "Then let me be clear," Jake said. His voice was cold. "If you want Earth, come and take it. But I promise you something. Every bit of ground you take, every ship you destroy, every human you kill will cost you greatly. We have been fighting wars since before we learned to make fire. We have spent 10,000 years learning how to kill those who threaten us. So please, Commander, make your move. Show us what your Imperium can do." The silence that followed was complete. Vexithor's 6 eyes opened wide. In all the thousands of battles the Imperium had fought, no species had ever spoken like this. Most aliens begged for mercy. Some tried to make deals. None had ever invited an attack. "You have made a terrible mistake, human," Vexithor finally said. "The Imperium will show no mercy. Your species will be an example to the galaxy of what happens to those who say no to us." Jake smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "We are counting on it. See you on the battlefield, Commander." The channel closed. For a moment, everyone on the bridge was silent. Then Greg Sullivan, Jake's second officer, spoke from his station. "Well, Admiral, that was very direct. I guess we are committed now." Jake turned to face his crew. Every man and woman on the bridge was watching him, waiting for orders. These were good people, he thought. They deserved better than to die in a war they could not win. But they also deserved to die free. "All hands, go to battle stations," Jake said clearly. "This is not a drill. Turn on all defensive systems and get ready to fight. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." Alarms began to sound throughout the ship and the entire fleet. Jake allowed himself one last look at Earth through the big screen. The planet hung in space, blue and beautiful and fragile. 3 billion humans lived down there. They did not know that their future was being decided in the cold space above them. Lisa moved to stand beside him. "Do you think we have a chance, sir?" Jake's smile was hard. "Commander, we are humans. We always have a chance. The question is whether the Cretharians know what they have just started." On the tactical screen, the Cretharian fleet began to move forward. 500 warships against humanity's 93 ships. The numbers were terrible. The technology gap was real. But as Jake watched his crew work with smooth efficiency, he felt something the aliens could not understand. It was not exactly hope. It was certainty. Humanity had survived ice ages and diseases. They had survived world wars and near extinction. They had crawled from caves to rule their planet, then reach for the stars. And they had done it all by refusing to surrender, refusing to quit, refusing to die quietly. The Cretharians had no idea what they had awakened. They thought humans were just another weak species to conquer. They thought technology and numbers were all that mattered in war. They were wrong. Jake looked at the faces of his crew. Young Danny at communications, carefully watching his screens. Lisa at tactical, her fingers ready on the weapons controls. Greg at navigation, plotting courses for the coming battle. They were all scared. Jake could see it in their eyes. But they were also ready to fight, ready to defend their home, ready to show the galaxy that humans were not prey. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Lisa said. "Good," Jake replied. "Remember, everyone, they may have better ships, they may have more ships, but they have never fought humans before. They do not know that we have spent our entire history learning one thing better than any other species in the galaxy. We know how to survive. We know how to win, not because we are stronger or smarter, but because we refuse to lose." The Cretharian fleet was getting closer now. Jake could see individual ships on the screen. Soon, very soon, the shooting would start. Soon people would die. His people. Good people who had families waiting for them on Earth. But Jake also knew something the Cretharians did not. Humans were at their most dangerous when they had something to protect. And right now, 3 billion. Humans on Earth were depending on the 93 ships of the Terran Defense Fleet. "Here they come," Greg said quietly. Jake nodded. "Then let us show them what humanity is made of. All ships, weapons free. May we give them a fight they will never forget." The bridge crew answered as one. "Yes, sir." And in that moment, as the alien fleet bore down on them with overwhelming force, Jake Morrison felt something remarkable. Pride. Not the arrogant pride of someone who thinks they cannot lose, but the fierce pride of someone who knows they might lose but will fight anyway. The pride of being human. The Cretharians were about to learn a lesson that would echo across the galaxy for generations. They were about to discover that declaring war on humanity was the biggest mistake they would ever make. 3 days into the attack on Earth, Commander Vexthor held a meeting with his senior officers. The first battle had been embarrassing, but the Cretharian commander was smart. He would not make the same mistakes twice. "The humans have proven more capable than we thought," he admitted to his officers. "But that changes nothing. We still have more ships. We still have better technology. We will change our tactics and destroy them." Subcommander Krell showed new attack plans on the display. "We have studied their weapons and defenses. Their kinetic weapons are deadly at close range, but cannot reach as far as our energy weapons. I suggest we attack from maximum distance. We will use our better shields to absorb their attacks while we wear them down." It was a smart plan. The Cretharians had more ships and longer range. A siege would favor them, especially as human supplies and ammunition ran low. Vexthor approved the plan. He was confident that within a week the humans would have to surrender or die. But Vexthor did not understand humans. He did not understand that a siege gave them something they were very good at using: time. On Earth, deep under the Rocky Mountains, scientists and engineers were working day and night. Dr. Nicole Palmer was the head of the Terran Defense Research Division. She stood in front of a display showing plans for a new weapon system. "We have been working on this project for 5 years," she explained to General Ryan Hughes, who commanded Earth's ground forces. "We called it Project Hellstorm. The idea was simple. If kinetic weapons work so well, what if we made them smaller, faster, and gave them guidance systems?" Ryan studied the plans. What he saw was brutally elegant. Thousands of small projectiles, each no bigger than a marble. They could be launched in swarms and guided to targets by simple computer systems. The Cretharian shields were designed to stop large weapons. These tiny bullets would slip right through. How soon can you send them up? He asked. The first weapons are already being loaded onto cargo ships. Admiral Morrison will have them within 12 hours. Meanwhile, in space, the siege continued. The Cretharians stayed far away, launching waves of long-range missiles that the human fleet struggled to stop. Every day brought more losses, more deaths, more ships too damaged to keep fighting. On the bridge of Jake's ship, everyone was exhausted. They had been at battle stations for 72 hours straight, sleeping in short shifts when they could. Jake knew his crew was reaching their limit, but he also knew they just needed to hold on a little longer. "Admiral, we have a message from Earth," Danny reported. "It is Dr. Palmer. She says the package is ready for delivery." Jake felt hope rise in his chest. "Tell her to send it up. All ships get ready to receive cargo. And get me Commander Vex Thor. I want to talk." Lisa looked at him with curiosity. "Sir, what are you planning?" "I am going to give the Cretharians one last chance to leave," Jake said. "And when they refuse, I am going to show them why you should never give humans time to think." The communication channel opened, showing Vex Thor's alien face. The Cretharian commander looked confident, almost happy. "Human Admiral, have you finally come to surrender? Your resistance has been impressive but pointless. Your losses grow every day." "I am not here to surrender, Commander," Jake said calmly. "I am here to offer you one final chance to leave. Go from our system now, and we will let you live. Stay, and I promise you will regret it." Vex Thor's laughter was harsh. "You threaten me? You who lose ships every hour? You who are down to 60 working vessels? I have 400 ships still ready to fight. What could you possibly threaten me with?" Jake smiled. "Human creativity. See, we have spent the last 3 days installing some new weapons. We call them Hellstorm launchers. Would you like to see them work? Show me all you want, human. It will change nothing. Danny, target the Cretharian flagship. Lisa, fire when ready." Jake's ship fired its new weapons. From Vex Thor's view, it looked like nothing. No visible beams, no missiles flying through space, just a slight shimmer in the darkness. Then his shields began to fail. Alarms rang as thousands of micro-projectiles slipped through the energy barriers and started tearing into his ship's hull. It lasted 10 seconds. When it stopped, the Cretharian flagship was leaking air from 100 holes. Emergency systems screamed. Vex Thor stared at his damage reports in shock. "That was 10% power, Commander," Jake said quietly. "A warning shot. Every ship in my fleet now has these weapons. Leave now, or the next attack will be at full power, aimed at your entire fleet. Your choice." For the first time, Vex Thor understood how badly he had miscalculated. The humans were not just defending, they were improving their tactics in real time, changing their weapons, finding new ways to kill. And they were getting better at it. But pride and duty fought inside him. The Imperium had never run away from a battle. To do so now would bring shame to his entire command. "You have won a small victory, human," he said stiffly. "But the Imperium does not run. We will destroy you whatever it costs." Jake's smile disappeared. "Then your crew's blood is on your hands. All ships you are free to fire. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Hellstorm launchers sent clouds of guided bullets into the Cretharian formation. Railguns fired at maximum speed. Missiles streaked across space. And for the first time since the siege began, the humans were not defending. They were attacking. The effect was devastating. Cretharian shields, designed to stop big weapons, were useless against thousands of tiny projectiles. Ship after ship took damage. Some began to drift, others exploded. The organized fleet formation started to break apart as captains tried to escape the storm of bullets. Vex Thor watched in horror as his fleet was torn apart. "All ships, return, fire. Focus everything on the human flagship." The Cretharians responded with everything they had. Energy beams and missiles converged on Jake's ship from dozens of directions. The human flagship shook violently as weapons struck its hull. Shields failed. Explosions rocked the ship. People died at their stations, but Jake's ship kept fighting. Even damaged, Even bleeding, it kept firing, and the rest of the human fleet followed its example. Ship after ship, damaged but not defeated, continued the attack. Lisa's station sparked and smoked, but she kept working. We have lost shields on 3 sides. Weapons batteries are down to 40%, but the Hellstorm system is still working. Then keep firing, Jake ordered. Do not stop until they run or we are dead. The battle raged for hours. Space around Earth became a graveyard of burning ships and floating debris. Both sides took terrible losses, but slowly, inevitably, the Cretharian fleet began to crack. They had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy that took damage that should have destroyed them and kept coming. An enemy that seemed to get more determined as losses mounted. Finally, Vexthor made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his short life. All ships retreat, full speed. We are leaving the system. On Jake's damaged bridge, alarms were still ringing. Fires burned on 2 decks. A third of his crew was dead or wounded. But as he watched the Cretharian fleet turn and run, he felt something profound. Not joy, not triumph, just grim satisfaction. They had done it. Against impossible odds, with inferior numbers and technology, humanity had defended Earth. They had shown the galaxy that humans could not be conquered easily. They had paid a terrible price, but they had survived. And that, Jake knew, was all that mattered. The battle that followed would be studied for generations to come. Not because of how big it was, though it was massive. Not because of how violent it was, though it was brutal. But because it showed a basic truth about war that the Cretharian Imperium had never understood. Better technology and more ships mean nothing if your enemy refuses to give up. The human attack caught the Cretharians completely by surprise. They had expected a desperate last stand, maybe a suicide run. Instead, they faced a coordinated assault that showed both brilliant tactics and complete disregard for personal safety. Danny Carter was controlling fire from 6 different ships at the same time. His hands moved across his control panels with practiced speed. Hellstorm batteries locked on targets. Firing solutions sent to all vessels. Fire, Jake ordered. Space lit up with trails of micro-projectiles. Each swarm contained 10,000 individual rounds. The Cretharian shields were useless. The projectiles slipped through like rain through a screen, shredding hull plates, puncturing fuel tanks, destroying critical systems. On his flagship, Vexthor watched his fleet die. Ship after ship fell to the human weapons. Their deaths were marked by silent explosions that bloomed like flowers in space. His damage reports were catastrophic. In the first hour of the human counterattack, he had lost 90 ships. 90. All units focus fire on the human flagship, he ordered desperately. If we kill their admiral, their formation will fall apart. Every Cretharian weapon in range turned toward Jake's ship. Energy beams, missiles, and plasma torpedoes came from a dozen different directions at once. Brace for impact, Greg shouted as warning alarms screamed throughout the ship. Jake's ship shook violently as weapon after weapon hit its hull. Shields overloaded and failed. Hull breaches opened across 3 decks. The ship lurched sideways as engines struggled to keep position. Jake grabbed a console to steady himself as the floor tilted. Damage report. Portside shields are gone, Lisa called out. Her station was sparking. We have lost weapons batteries 4 and 7. Engineering reports many casualties. Primary power is down to 60%. Can we still fight? Jake asked. Greg checked his displays. We still have main engines, starboard weapons, and the Hellstorm batteries. We are hurt, but we are not finished. Then we keep fighting, Jake said. Danny, send a signal to all ships. Execute pattern Delta 7. What happened next would become legendary. The human fleet, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, despite having lost a third of their ships, despite facing an enemy with better technology, did something no other species had ever done when fighting the Cretharian Imperium. They charged. Every working human warship accelerated directly toward the Cretharian fleet at full speed. Not retreating, not maneuvering for position, just a straight rush into enemy guns. It was crazy. It was suicide. It was exactly the kind of insane bravery that defined humanity. Vexthor watched in disbelief as the humans came on. They are insane, he said quietly. All ships hold formation. Keep firing. Cut them down before they reach us. But the humans were faster than he expected. They wove between his ships like dancers, taking terrible losses but always pressing forward. And as they came, they fired everything they had. The space between the fleets became a storm of weapons fire, explosions, and wreckage. Jake's ship led the charge. He stood at the center of the bridge, giving orders with absolute calm despite the chaos. A Cretharian battlecruiser loomed ahead, twice the size of his flagship. Target that battlecruiser. All remaining weapons, full power. Jake's ship unleashed everything it had. Railguns fired until their barrels glowed red-hot. Hellstorm batteries emptied in continuous streams. The Cretharian battlecruiser's shields held for maybe 3 seconds before collapsing. Then the armor failed. Then the ship itself split in two. Its fusion reactor exploded in a blast that lit up the entire battlefield. "Keep moving," Jake shouted. "Do not give them time to reorganize." For 6 hours the battle continued. 6 hours of constant violence that turned the space around Earth into a graveyard. The humans lost 30 more ships, but the Cretharians lost 200. And somewhere in those 6 hours, as Vexthor watched his mighty fleet reduced to scattered survivors running in all directions, he realized a truth that would echo across the galaxy. The Imperium had declared war on a species that did not know how to quit. Finally, with less than 100 ships left, Vexthor gave an order he never thought he would give. "All units retreat. Full speed, maximum power. We are leaving the system." On the bridge of Jake's damaged ship, the crew was exhausted. Fire still burned on 2 decks. A third of the people were dead or wounded. But as they watched the Cretharian fleet turn and run, something incredible happened. Someone started cheering. Then another person. Then the entire bridge crew. The cheer spread from ship to ship, transmitted across every communication channel in the fleet. Humanity had faced the galaxy's strongest military and won. But Jake did not cheer. He was thinking about the 28,000 humans who had died defending their world. He was thinking about the price they had paid. And he was thinking about what would come next, because now the galaxy knew humanity existed. And they knew humans were dangerous. Lisa approached him quietly. Her uniform was torn and burned. She had a cut on her forehead. But she was smiling. "We did it, sir." "We actually did it," Jake nodded slowly. "Yes, but this is just the beginning, Commander. The Cretharians will go back to their empire. They will tell everyone what happened here. Some species will be afraid of us. Others will respect us. But everyone will know that humanity cannot be conquered easily." "Is that a bad thing?" Lisa asked. "I do not know," Jake admitted. "We wanted to be left alone. Now we will be known across the galaxy as the species that defeated the Imperium. That will bring opportunities. But it will also bring challenges." Greg joined them. He was limping from an injury but refused medical attention until the ship was secured. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Jake looked at the tactical display. The Cretharian fleet was jumping to faster-than-light travel, fleeing the system. His own fleet was in terrible shape. They had won, but the cost had been enormous. "Send a message to all ships," Jake said. "Tell them they fought with honor. Tell them they saved Earth. Tell them that humanity will remember what they did here today. Then begin recovery operations. We have people floating in damaged ships who need rescue. We have wounded who need medical care. We have dead who need to be honored." As his officers moved to carry out his orders, Jake allowed himself one moment of weakness. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. They had survived. Against all odds, despite impossible challenges, humanity had survived. When he opened his eyes again, he saw Earth through the view screen. The blue planet hung in space, peaceful and beautiful. 3 billion people down there would wake up tomorrow, not knowing how close they had come to extinction. They would go about their lives unaware of the sacrifice that had been made to protect them. That was okay, Jake thought. That was how it should be. The military's job was to stand between the people in danger. To fight so others did not have to. To die so others could live, sir. Danny's voice broke into his thoughts. "We are getting transmissions from Earth. They know we won." "They are celebrating," Jake smiled tiredly. "Good, let them celebrate. They have earned it. We all have." The battle was over. Earth was saved. But Jake Morrison knew that humanity's place in the galaxy had changed forever. They were no longer unknown. They were no longer ignored. For better or worse, humans had announced themselves to the cosmos in the most dramatic way possible. They had fought the strongest military empire in the galaxy and won. The question now was, what would humanity do with their victory? The first group of Cretharian fighter ships rushed toward the human defensive line. Commander Vexthor watched from his flagship. He was confident the killing would be easy. The humans had placed their fleet in a normal defensive pattern around their planet. It was predictable and weak. All units move forward and attack, he ordered. I want the human admiral's flagship captured whole. He will watch his world burn before we kill him. But something was wrong. As the Cretharian fighters got close, enough to shoot, the human ships did not run away or scatter. Instead, they stayed in position. Suddenly, space lit up with weapons fire that was different from anything Vexthor had seen before. On the bridge of Jake's ship, Danny Carter was controlling the defensive weapons with cold precision. Point defense systems are on. Railgun batteries are locked on targets, ready to fire. Fire when ready, Jake ordered. The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Railguns had been developed over many decades of military research. They shot tungsten rounds at incredibly high speeds. Each bullet carried the energy of a small nuclear bomb. The Cretharian shields were designed to stop energy weapons. They were completely useless against solid metal moving at such extreme speeds. Fighter after fighter simply stopped existing. They were torn apart by impacts they never saw coming. In the first 30 seconds, the Cretharians lost over 100 ships. Greg Sullivan watched the tactical screen with satisfaction. Their shields cannot stop our kinetic weapons. They are not adapting fast enough. They have never had to, Lisa said. Her fingers moved quickly across her control panel as she coordinated targeting information. According to the intelligence we gathered, most species in the galaxy only use energy weapons. They probably think metal bullets are primitive. Jake nodded grimly. Then let us show them how deadly primitive can be. Danny, sent a signal to all ships. Execute pattern Omega. The human fleet suddenly broke formation. But instead of running, they performed a maneuver that would have been impossible for most species to coordinate. Decades of military training and tactical practice had prepared humanity for this moment. Every ship knew exactly where to go and when. The Cretharians found themselves facing not a defensive line, but a three-dimensional killing zone. The humans had created overlapping fields of fire that made a web of destruction. Alien ships that tried to chase individual human vessels found themselves being shot at from 3 or 4 different directions at the same time. On the Cretharian flagship, alarms were ringing. Vexthor stared at his displays in disbelief as damage reports came in. 200 fighters were gone. 3 capital ships were heavily damaged, and the humans had not even used their main fleet yet. How is this possible? He demanded. Their technology is worse than ours. They have fewer ships. His tactical officer, Sub-Commander Krell, studied the battle information with growing worry. Commander, they are not fighting like any species we have fought before. Their tactics are aggressive and unpredictable. They are accepting losses that we thought would break their formation, but instead, they are using those losses to create opportunities. Explain, Vexthor said harshly. Watch this battle here. Krell pointed to a section of the display. One of their destroyers took heavy damage and started to drift. We thought it was dead, so we sent 2 cruisers to finish it. But it was a trap. The destroyer's power was not failing. It was moving all power to weapons. When our ships got close, it fired everything it had, then exploded itself. Both our cruisers were destroyed. Vexthor felt something he had not felt in decades of war: uncertainty. These humans were fighting with a fury and cleverness that made no sense. They were using tactics that focused on causing maximum damage rather than protecting themselves. It was crazy. It was also working. Back on Jake's ship, he watched the battle unfold with the calm of a chess master. Every loss hurt. Every ship that died was full of people he had promised to protect. But he also knew that this was humanity's only chance. They could not win a long war. They had to make the Cretharians pay such a terrible price that continuing the war would seem foolish. Sir, the Cretharians are pulling back, Greg reported. Surprise was clear in his voice. They are regrouping outside our weapons range. Good, Jake said. That means they are thinking instead of just attacking. Danny, open a channel to all our ships. I want damage reports and casualty numbers. As the reports came in, the cost of the opening battle became clear. Humanity had lost 11 ships destroyed and 15 more badly damaged. Nearly 3,000 people were dead. But the Cretharians had lost 3 times that many. For the first time in their expansion across the galaxy, the Imperium had been hurt. Lisa looked at the casualty numbers. Her expression was grim. "We cannot keep losing people like this for long." "We do not have to," Jake replied. "We just have to make them bleed enough that they start wondering if Earth is worth the cost. This is only the first move." The crew understood what Jake meant. This was not about winning every battle. It was about making the enemy afraid to fight. It was about showing the Cretharians that conquering Earth would cost them more than they were willing to pay. Danny looked at his screen. "Admiral, we are getting communications from Earth. The news of the battle is spreading. People want to know if we can hold." Jake thought about the 3 billion people on the planet below. Children going to school. Parents working. Old people sitting in parks. None of them knew how close they had come to death in the last hour. None of them knew that 93 ships and their brave crews were all that stood between them and extinction. "Tell Earth that we are holding," Jake said firmly. "Tell them that humanity is fighting back. Tell them that we will protect them or die trying." Greg turned in his seat. "What is our next move, Admiral?" Jake looked at the tactical display. The Cretharian fleet was regrouping. They would analyze what went wrong. They would adapt their tactics, they would come again, and next time they would be ready for the kinetic weapons. "We innovate," Jake said simply. "They think they know how we fight now. So we change how we fight. We keep them guessing. We keep them bleeding. We make every single battle cost them more than the last one." Lisa nodded slowly. "The longer we hold, the more time Earth has to prepare better defenses." "Exactly," Jake agreed. "And the more time the galaxy has to see that the mighty Cretharian Imperium can be beaten. Every minute we survive, we are winning." The crew looked at their admiral with new understanding. This was not about glorious victory. This was about survival. About making the enemy hurt. About refusing to quit no matter how bad things got. This was humanity doing what it did best. On the Cretharian flagship, Vexthor was making new plans. He would not underestimate the humans again. He would bring the full might of the Imperium down on them. He would crush them utterly. But as he planned his next attack, Vexthor did not realize something important. With every plan he made, with every tactic he developed, he was fighting the kind of war humans had been perfecting for thousands of years. A war of adaptation, a war of innovation. A war where the winner was not the strongest, but the one who refused to give up. And humans were very, very good at refusing to give up. 3 weeks after the battle, as humanity buried its dead and rebuilt its damaged fleet, a message arrived from the Galactic Council. This was the governing body of the major civilized species. It was an organization humanity had only recently learned existed. Jake stood in the rebuilt war room at Terran Defense Headquarters. General Ryan Hughes and Dr. Nicole Palmer stood with him. The holographic display showed dozens of alien faces. They represented species from across known space. The council's speaker was called a Valorian. She was tall and graceful with skin that seemed to glow with inner light. Her name was Elder Sira. Her expression was hard to read. "Humans of Earth," she began. Her voice was beautiful even through the translator. "The council has been watching your fight with the Cretharian Imperium with great interest. What you have done is unprecedented in the council's recorded history." "Thank you, Elder Sira," Jake replied carefully. "Though we take no pride in the killing. We defended ourselves because we had no other choice." "Indeed," Sira continued. "Which brings us to why we are contacting you. The Cretharian Imperium has filed a formal complaint with the council. They claim you broke established rules of warfare by using prohibited weapons and tactics." Jake's jaw tightened. "Prohibited weapons? They invaded our system intending to conquer us. They threatened to kill everyone on our planet." "We know," Sira said. Now Jake could hear what might be amusement in her tone. "The council has reviewed your battle records in detail. Your tactical innovations were remarkable. Your willingness to sacrifice for your homeworld was admirable. But we must ask, did you not know that kinetic weapons of the type you used are considered barbaric by council standards?" "We are new here," Ryan spoke up. "Nobody told us the rules before we were attacked. Sierra's glow seemed to get brighter. Jake realized she was definitely amused now. Indeed. Which is exactly what the Council told the Critharians. You see, Admiral, the Council exists to prevent extinctions and ensure fair warfare between species. The Critharians broke every rule by attacking without provocation. They gave up any right to complain about your methods of defense. Jake felt tension leave his shoulders. So we are not being punished? On the contrary, Sierra said. The Council wishes to offer humanity membership. You have proven you can defend yourselves. You have shown tactical intelligence and military skill, and you have done what no other species has done in the last century. You have defeated the Critharian Imperium in open warfare. Behind the Elder, Jake could see other Council members talking to each other. Some looked approving. Others looked nervous. All of them were clearly rethinking their views on humanity. What does membership involve? Nicole asked. She was always seeking information. Protection, for one thing, Sierra explained. As a Council member, any attack on Earth would be treated as an attack on all member species. You would also get access to Council trade networks, scientific knowledge, and diplomatic channels. In return, you would be expected to follow Council law and, if needed, help with collective defense. We will need to discuss this with our governments, Jake said carefully. Of course, but there is one more thing you should know, Admiral. The Critharian Imperium has formally asked for peace with humanity. They want to establish a non-aggression agreement. Jake could not help it. He laughed. It was not a happy sound, but it was genuine. They want peace? After they came here to kill us all? They lost 400 ships, Admiral, Sierra said softly. They lost thousands of their best warriors. And they lost something even more valuable, their reputation for being unbeatable. Commander Vexthor was executed for his failure. The new Critharian leadership does not want to repeat his mistakes. Jake looked at Ryan and Nicole, then back to the Council display. We will consider their offer, but they should understand something. Humanity remembers. We remember who our friends are. We remember who tried to kill us. The Critharians may have peace, but they will never have our trust. A wise position, Sierra agreed. Welcome to the galactic community, Admiral Morrison. I think things are about to become very interesting. The transmission ended. Jake was left alone with his thoughts. Through the window of the war room, he could see Earth hanging in space. It was blue and beautiful and scarred. The orbital shipyards were already at work, building new vessels using lessons learned from the battle. Sir? A young officer approached nervously. There is someone here to see you. Says it is important. Jake turned to see Lisa entering the war room. She was still in her uniform, looking as tired as he felt. She had been overseeing repairs to their ship for the past week. Commander? He greeted her. Should you not be resting? I could say the same to you, sir, she replied with a tired smile. I wanted to show you something. She pulled up a data pad and showed him reports from across Earth. Memorial services for the dead, reconstruction efforts for damaged cities, but also something else, applications, thousands of them, people wanting to join the fleet, wanting to become engineers, scientists, tacticians, all inspired by what they had witnessed. They are not afraid, Lisa said quietly. After everything that happened, after all the death and destruction, people are not afraid of space anymore. They are eager to explore it, to defend it. Jake looked at the numbers. He felt something he had not allowed himself to feel since the battle ended. Hope. We showed the galaxy what humans can do when pushed to the edge. Maybe now we can show them what we can do when given a chance. Do you think they will accept us? Lisa asked. The Council, I mean. Will they really let humanity join as equals? They will accept us, Jake said with certainty. Because we did something very important. We proved that being underestimated does not matter. Being called primitive does not matter. Being dismissed as inferior does not matter. Not when you refuse to quit. We were outnumbered and outgunned. Our technology was worse, and we won anyway. He looked out at Earth again, at the memorial stations orbiting the planet where the names of every fallen human were written in metal that would last forever. 28,000 names. 28,000 people who died defending their home. You know what the Critharians' biggest mistake was? Jake asked. What is that, sir? They thought being deadly made them the strongest. But being deadly is not what makes a species dangerous. It is the refusal to accept defeat. It is the ability to take losses that would break anyone else and keep fighting. It is the willingness to do whatever it takes to protect what matters. That is what makes humans dangerous. Lisa nodded slowly. So when they declared war on us, thinking we were just another weak species to conquer. They really did declare war on the galaxy's most deadly species. They just did not know it yet. They know it now, Jake said softly, and soon everyone else will too. As they stood there watching the reconstruction efforts, watching humanity rebuild and prepare for whatever came next, Jake felt strange peace. The war was over. The immediate danger had passed. But he knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. They had fought and bled and died, but they had survived. And in surviving, they had proven something that would echo across the stars for generations to come. You do not threaten humanity. You do not give humanity ultimatums. And you definitely do not declare war on humanity. Because when you do, you are not declaring war on just another species. You are declaring war on the most persistent, adaptable, creative, and completely relentless force the galaxy has ever seen. The Cretharians had learned this lesson the hard way. They had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. They had found instead a species that would rather die than surrender, a species that turned every disadvantage into an advantage, a species that got more dangerous the more desperate they became. Jake looked at the datapad Lisa had given him. Thousands of applications from people who wanted to serve, people who wanted to explore space, people who wanted to meet other species, trade with them, learn from them. This was the real victory, he realized. Not the military triumph, as important as that was. The real victory was that humanity had not become afraid. They had not retreated from the universe after being attacked. Instead, they had become more determined to be part of it. "What happens now, sir?" Lisa asked. Jake smiled. It was a real smile this time, not grim or tired. Now we build. We learn, we grow, we take our place in the galactic community, and we make sure that no one ever threatens Earth again. Not because we want to dominate anyone, but because we have learned a hard lesson. The universe is dangerous, and the only way to survive is to be ready. Ready for what? Lisa asked. For whatever comes next, Jake replied. Because now the galaxy knows about us. They know we can fight. Some will fear us. Some will respect us. Some will want to be our allies. Others will want to test us. Whatever happens, we will face it the same way we faced the Cretharians. Together. As humans. Refusing to quit. Refusing to surrender. Refusing to go quietly into the night. Lisa looked out at Earth. At the beautiful blue planet that had almost been destroyed. At the home of 3 billion humans who now knew they were not alone in the universe. "Do you think we will survive out here? In the galaxy, I mean." Jake put a hand on her shoulder. "Commander, we are humans. Survival is what we do best.